So what exactly is vernalization? Well, vernalization is the induction of the flowering process in plants via a burst of cold weather and is a feature of winter annual plants. Examples of these include apple trees and the daffodils which pop up all over the Davis campus shortly after winter quarter. These plants will flower after being exposed to a minimum amount of cold weather, generally causing what most people will relate to as a spring bloom.
Since the earliest times of modern agriculture, farmers realized certain distinctions between cereals which only grew after a period of cold weather versus a period of warm weather. The first scientists to finally detail the process of vernalization and the differences between winter annual plants and summer annual plants is the German botanist and plant pathologist Gustav Gassner, who in his 1918 paper wrote about the wide variety of plant species require an exposure to cold temperatures causes them to flower.
This is Pumela. She is an apple tree growing in the tropics. Although she has lived there her entire life, she has always felt just a little bit out of place. While all of her tropical friends have been able to produce beautiful flowers, she has not. This year, Pumela decided to go on a 4-week winter vacation in beautiful Scotland. She had a lovely time there and thought that the snowfall was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. The trip made her completely forget about her flowering troubles, and she was as happy as can be by the end of her time there. Much to her surprise, however, once she returned home, she too began to flower. Pumela attributed this to her happy mood and relaxed demeanor after her vacation. However, she was a little bit suspicious that maybe something more was going on. Let's take a closer look into what really happened with Pumela and her experience during her winter vacation.
In warm weather, the first gene that works in the pathway to suppress vernalization is the FRI gene. FRI is the first gene in the pathway, which was initially discovered when crossing rapid flowering ascensions against vernalization requiring ascensions of Arabidopsis thaliana. Rapid flowering plants have two recessive FRI genes, which causes their early flowering. FRI encodes for a protein which enriches the WD40 repeat protein ATWDR5A at the FLC gene and increases trimethylation. The FLC gene is a MADS box transcriptional repressor involved in silencing the genes that are required for the switch to flowering. When these genes get activated, flowering is inhibited in the plant.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland.
When plants are exposed to cold air, the vernalization process begins with two separate pathways. The first pathway is the cool air and cold air pathway. Cool air is the antisense transcript of the FLC gene, which begins transcription 1 to 2 weeks after initial cold exposure. The expression of cool air inhibits FLC expression and thus the repression of floral genes. After an additional 1 to 2 weeks, a gene called cold air is expressed. Cold air is a non-polyadenylated, non-spliced transcript. This transcript interacts with PRC2, which helps target it to the FLC locus for suppression of the gene. In the other pathway, we have 3 sets of genes called vernalins, which all do separate things. The genes function as follows. VRN1 is a plant-specific DNA-binding protein. VRN2 is a component of PRC2, which is a polycomb group protein which is involved in methylation. And VIN3 is a PHD domain. The PHD domain is related in chromatin-mediated gene regulation. After all the vernalins do their part, PRC2 complexes with the FLC gene, inhibits it via epigenetic silencing by modification of histone 3, lysine 27, methyl 3 of the FLC gene. Suppression of the FLC gene means that FLC can no longer repress the flowering genes within the plant, and the plant then begins to flower.
I simply must
But
go.
baby, it's cold outside.
The answer
But
is no.
baby, it's cold outside.
This welcome
How
has been
lucky that you dropped
so
in.
nice and warm.
Look out the window at that storm.
My sister will be suspicious.
Gosh, your lips look delicious.
My brother will be there at the
Waves
door.
upon a tropical shore.
My maiden aunt's mind is
Ooh,
vicious.
your lips are delicious.
Well, maybe just